Hey, what's up? Welcome back. I'm Chris Abbott, and in this video, we're going to be talking about why isn't my church growing, part 2. Okay, so in this video, we've got 4 more tips on why isn't my church growing, including the difference between doers and leaders, and also the #1 thing that kills a church vision. Okay, so one of the biggest problems that Kerry Newhoff found in his survey of 1,400 pastors in why isn't their church growing is that they have too many doers and not enough leaders, right? So that's a really big difference, and it's a really big barrier to overcome, right? So leaders lead other people, doers lead themselves. Right? And a church is a natural place to attract a lot of doers. People love to come up and help out and kind of do things. The problem is you need leaders to grow a church, not just doers. Leaders don't mind having a team of people to manage. In fact, they thrive on it. But doers would rather just manage themselves and just focus on their specific project. Every Saturday morning, my dad would call all 4 kids into the living room and say, okay, here's the challenge. We're gonna clean the entire house in 11 minutes, right? And so what he would do is he threw out the vision, he told us what exactly we were gonna do, then he started the timer and we went crazy, right? Say, Christopher, you're on the family room. Scott, you got the living room. Casey and Jenna, you guys have the kitchen. Ready, go. And we'd start the timer. See, this is presenting a vision and rallying a team to go accomplish something. Leaders naturally do this, right? So a doer might come up to the church and say, okay, we're gonna clean the sanctuary. A doer wants to come in, put in their AirPods, listen to some music, and just focus on themselves and clean the sanctuary. A leader wants to rally a team and call 5 of their best friends to meet them up there and try to knock it out and say, hey, here's the deal. We're gonna clean the entire church. We're gonna bless pastor. We're gonna make this place look awesome so that every single visitor that comes in on Sunday morning is swept off their feet, and then we're all gonna go grab pizza afterwards. That's the difference between a doer and a leader. Okay, #2, the team is not aligned. This happens a lot for churches as they continue to grow, especially between like the 200 and the 400 mark, right? What happens is you're growing, you've got some momentum, but you've got so many new people coming in, it's hard to keep everybody committed to the same vision, right? So one of the things you need to be careful about is to make sure that people don't start running into themselves in the middle of the chaos as you're growing. You have to keep all of the alignment, keep everybody moving in the same direction. So Jim Collins has a phenomenal book on this called Good to Great, one of the best books ever. If you haven't read it, go pick it up right now. It's amazing. And he talks about trying to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus, right? So basically you're trying to get all the right people that are gonna go to where you're gonna go on the bus. Once they're there, once you start hitting 200, 300, 400 people, now you need to figure out, now that we've got the right people, where are we going, right? And so now it's your job as a leader to cast the vision and to get everybody aligned and moving in the right direction. You'll wind up with chaos unless you have a great plan. Alignment is so critical because if you don't, it's like releasing the stallions, right? There's mass chaos, everyone starts running into each other, everyone's trying to operate their own vision instead of trying to execute yours. An unaligned church will continue to struggle to grow, and then even if they do, they'll carry with it the seeds for implosion, and it could all come crumbling down. You have to have an aligned vision in an aligned church. Okay, so we got a couple of more points on why isn't my church growing, but before we do, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you can get a ton more content just like this to help you grow your church and increase your effectiveness as a leader. #3, death by committee. So if you need permission every single time you want to paint an office or buy toilet paper or go buy printer paper, then you have a problem with micromanagement. Committees and boards will kill a church vision faster than any other thing possible. James Clear says you won't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So if you don't have the right systems in place, most people will naturally fall to micromanagement. Especially if there was a leader before you who mismanaged the money or who kind of ran the vision into the ground. Now what happens is a lot of boards and committees tend to overcorrect and they micromanage, but that's gonna harness your vision and it's gonna keep your church from growing. Most small churches are led by congregations that wanna have a say and a vote in absolutely everything. But here's the hard truth. Committees kill vision. When everyone wants to say, very little gets done, and micromanagement is a silent killer for church growth. Okay, so what's the cure for this? Here's what I recommend. Go to your leadership, go to your board, your committee, and talk to them about this. And just say, guys, here's the deal. I want you to gamble with me on this. I've got an idea on how we can grow the church, but I can't keep running every single idea by you. And then ask them for a time period. Say, hey, can I have 6 months where you'll gamble with me on this and let me unleash my vision and grow this church? Most people, if you ask them, especially if you put an end date on it, and you say, here's the deal, man, I have a vision, lay out the vision, make it plain, and ask them to gamble with you on this and say, hey, here's the deal, just give me 6 months. #4, too many excuses. This one's an easy trap to fall into, but too many churches who aren't growing fall into the trap of making excuses, right? They don't have the right people, or their budget isn't big enough, or their town is too small, or they're portable, or they have an old building, or their building isn't in the right location. Whatever it is, there's a million different excuses, but churches have grown explosively in all of those situations time and time again. So here's the hard truth. You can make excuses or you can make progress, but you can't make both. Leaders who make the most progress are usually the ones who make the least amount of excuses. And the leaders who make the most amount of excuses are usually the ones who make the least amount of progress. So whatever it is, take a look at it and just say, God, I'm going to grow my church in spite of everything that's going on. And make a commitment to yourself, to your team, to your church. No more excuses. Craig Rochelle says that limited resources are a breeding ground for creativity. So stop looking at your situation like a victim and start looking at it as an advantage. You have an unfair advantage that people don't know your church is back in the woods. You have an unfair advantage that it's not by the highway. If your church is small, you have an unfair advantage. You have a chance to shake every single hand and greet every single person by name every Sunday. Larger churches can't do that. So lean into who you are and your DNA, stop making excuses, and start looking at your situation as an unfair advantage for church growth. Most church leaders read a ton of theology books and a lot of books on church management and a lot of commentaries, but they fail to read a lot of business and leadership books. So if you want to explore this leadership principle even more, I recommend checking out the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, two ex-Navy SEALs who talk about this in an extreme way. It's going to be a phenomenal book. You're not going to be able to put it down. Okay, so I have a free gift I want to give you. It's a free video that talks more about church leadership and church growth and how to use social media and technology in order to accelerate your church growth. Just go to churchgrowthagency.com or click on the link below and go check it out.